everybody. Let's pretend like that never happened. Welcome. Welcome to today's episode of The Naked Truth. What I was saying previously when you couldn't hear me at all was that normally for The Naked Truth, I do not have any makeup on. But today is different. Normally I'm fresh out of the shower, no makeup, no hair, nothing like that. Today is a little different because I was asked to be a part of GGP, which is Gay Gamer Pros, GGP's virtual Pride Festival event, and do a special episode of my Twitch Gong Show, but featuring all LGBTQ adjacent games, one should say. And it was awesome. It was like a speed version of the Gong Show. It was really fun. But because I came right from finishing that over to here, you get a made up face today. But I'm more comfortable now than I was then. I had on a rainbow Space Invaders dress, which I absolutely love. But, being au natural is the most comfy way to go. Steven Summer says, no hair. Are you really bald? No, I mean no wet hair. Sorry, I'm a hot mess today. Welcome, everybody. I'm just doing too many things at the same time. Normally, I have my time to shower and think about what I want to talk about and kind of zen out before The Naked Truth. Today is not one of those days. Thank you to everyone who told me that there was no sound prior to this. You're amazing, and I appreciate you. So let's see. Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. I titled today's Naked Truth, Why I Don't Curse Anymore. And there are multiple reasons, and we will go into them. And it's not that I don't curse at all anymore. I curse incredibly rarely now, which is very different from what it used to be earlier in my life. For anyone who's followed me over a long period of time, you can watch the trajectory of my language over the years, which is funny. Camille says, I'm a hot mess today. You and me both. G-Van says, I first read this is why I don't care anymore and was preparing for a far different video. No, not why I don't care anymore. Why I don't curse anymore. So this was a topic suggested on the Discord. Thank you so much to those of you in the Discord and the Naked Truth channel for always helping me out with the series and posting your video responses there. And P.S. if you're not in the Discord, get on in there. There's a link in the description. But I thought this was a good topic for right now because I think we're all at a point where curse words feel very appropriate for everyday conversation with lots of different people. And, and so if that's something that's on your mind, then maybe this is something we can all talk about right now. Hi, Michael. How are you? I'm good. Do you say PG swears darn it, says Rob K. Oh, yeah, definitely. Cyclops says, well, you've got a kid. You can't curse around him. Some people do. So it's very interesting seeing people that I know that have kids and their different strategies of how to deal with that. But we'll get to that later. So anyway, yes, the topic of this video, why I don't curse anymore. So a little bit about me and my cursing background. That sounds so bad. My cursing background. I didn't really curse as a kid, mostly because I wasn't allowed to. I had a really funny story in elementary school where I was playing a video game where you build a robot and then the video game auto-generates your robot's name. And the auto-generated robot name was F-U-U-K. And I pronounced it like the F word. But I had never heard that word before, so I didn't even know that was a bad word. And so I'm running around first grade saying, oh, my robot's name is F word. And all the other kids are laughing hysterically, and I don't know why. And then the teacher, gosh bless her heart, realized that I obviously had no idea that this was a word that maybe you shouldn't say, and kind of explained to me that that's not really a very nice word. But, it wasn't my fault. That's what the video game in first grade told me that my robot's name was. But anyway, so I didn't really curse as a kid. It wasn't around me a lot. My mom has a few choice words, but for the most part, it was well, those aren't words you can say. So I was never really allowed to say that. Here, I'm just going to pull out chat because I keep having to look all the way down to see what's going on in chat. Let me pop y'all out real quick. Normally I do. I just didn't today. I thought this would be fine, and now it's too far. That's adorable, says Stephen Summers. Took it home to Jenny says, I literally said shiver my timbers unironically while on stream today. So funny. But yeah, so my parents had a few choice words that they liked to use when they were really upset or angry, but I was not allowed to say them. Those were not words for kids. So I didn't curse a lot until I got to college. And then when I got to college, I don't know if it was like a rebellion, sign of my independence kind of thing, but I was around other people that cursed pretty frequently. And so it became a natural part of my vernacular to just drop in words like that a lot. Jim Jackson, thank you for the super chat, says, I need a lot of work on this topic. Have fun. Don't worry. We'll have fun for sure. But yeah, so when I got to college, everyone used these words. It was normal. It became a natural part of my speaking and vernacular. And then when I went home for that first semester break, so like I went for fall semester and then around the holidays, there was a break between semester 1 and semester 2 for the year. So I went home for holiday break and my poor parents were like, you cannot use that language here. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is how I talk all the time now. I'm an adult. I do what I want. Which spurred that very natural parent saying, you still live in my house and I still pay your bills. You don't do whatever you want. You listen to me. You follow my rules. Which in turn inspired me to say, well, then I'll get my own job and I won't live off your money. And, it was a good motivator for me to get out and, I already was pretty independent at that stage. I was very lucky. I got a full ride to college, a full academic scholarship. So my parents weren't necessarily paying like butt tons in tuition, but they were paying butt tons in, P.S. I don't consider butt a curse word. That's like a PG one. They were paying butt tons in room and board and so for the dorm, because I was living on campus and food and that kind of stuff. So they still definitely had a point. But pretty soon I got my own cell phone bill and stuff. But anyway, so that started from cursing. And then after college, I toned down. So on a scale of 1 to 10, right? In college, I was probably about an 8 out of 10, which is a lot. That's a lot of cursing. And after college for a few years, I probably went back down to what I consider a 5 out of 10. And I would say that's what I consider average. We got a super chat. Whoa, we got a big super chat. Igor Slagthor just gave a huge super chat. Thank you so much. And says, hey, Shisha, happy to see you're doing well, homie. Wish you and your wonderful family nothing but great days to come. Anything you're really looking forward to after quarantine is completely lifted. Yeah, I would love to get to my little sister's wedding. It's going to be in New Hampshire in August. And, it's not really safe to fly. We have to figure out if we're going to take that risk or not, or if I'm going to take that risk or not. But that's what I'm looking forward to. And just seeing my family. They're all on the East Coast. So thank you for asking that question. And thank you again for the incredibly generous super chat. I really appreciate it, Igor. And I hope you and your family are well, too. But yeah, so after college, I toned back down to a 5 out of 10, which I consider an average amount of cursing for a normal adult. So, when you're specifically mad about something or if it's funny or appropriate in the situation. And then when I joined SourceFed and started working with all the folks at SourceFed, a lot of them are stand-up comedians. And I don't know if you know a lot of funnies men and funnies women in your life or stand-up comedians, but they tend to curse a lot. And a lot of times they'll add in curse words for comedic effect when they're just talking about stuff. And so it's even more a part of their natural vernacular than I think people who do other things for a living. And so hanging out with those people regularly, 40 to 50 hours a week, naturally made me start cursing again. And then I would say I was back to an 8/9 out of 10. This is to the point where you're starting to use a curse word like a comma. It's just thrown in sentences all the time like it's nothing. So if you watch a lot of my gaming content from 2012 to 2015 during that time, especially games that are ragey, I'm swearing like a sailor, just a string of them coming out of my mouth. Yeah, pretty funny. And I didn't think anything of it then because that's how everyone around me talked. It, and you become, or at least for me, I tend to become very much who I'm surrounded by. James says, if that's an 8, what's a 10? I know, I would say 8, 9. 8/9 out of 10 at SourceFed. A 10 out of 10, I would actually say, and I say this so lovingly, but my sister-in-law is someone who uses the F word like a comma. In one sentence, there may be 2 or even 3 F words. And it's not out of anger. It's not to be funny. It's just how she talks. And it's part of what we love so dearly about her. It's very funny. But that's what I would consider like a 10 out of 10 on that. So funny. But yeah, so that was SourceFed 8, 9 out of 10 for me. And then I probably toned down, it took a few years, but after SourceFed, I would say I probably toned all the way down to a 3 or a 4 out of 10, just in my natural life. Again, it depends who you're surrounded with, but the people that I hang out with, in that time, I got engaged and got married, and my husband doesn't curse a lot. And when I say 3 or 4 out of 10, to me, that's like someone who doesn't curse in their normal speech, but when they're really angry about something or you really need to curse about something, like that's when you'll see it come out, or even when you're pseudo angry, anytime you feel it's appropriate, that's when it would happen. Steven Summer says, I know a few people like that. The F-bomb is a term of endearment for her. Exactly, those kind of people. But now that Logan, my son, is of talking, and really ever since he became of understanding age, where like he wasn't really talking yet, but if I was watching something on TV that was maybe a little violent or something, you could kind of see it in his face that he's like, I was like, oh no, I've gone too far. I thought I still had a few years for this. Yeah, ever since he kind of became of that understanding age, I've really toned it down to the point where I can title this video Why I Don't Curse Anymore and really mean that. Now I would say I'm probably a 1 out of 10, not a 0 out of 10, but a 1 out of 10, meaning that when curse words come out of my mouth, they are very few and far between, or when I type them, they're very few and far between, and it is really only when I feel like it's 100% necessary to get my point across. So it really only happens in times of intense anger when I just can't think of a better word to use, or intense surprise. Like I think the only time I tweeted out a curse word in the past couple of years was last year's E3 when Keanu Reeves came out on stage for Cyberpunk because I was legitimately so shocked. It just came out, and so my tweet was like, wow, Cyberpunk looks really good, and they're looking at a release date of ... Holy SH word, that's Keanu Reeves. Send tweet. Because that's exactly what happened in there. Kerbo Custom says, or if a game really frustrated you. That's true, but I really try not to. Steven Summers, you're cracking me up. The old Keanu defense. You know what? The old Keanu defense. That can really work for everything. But now that I find that I really don't curse that often, when I am frustrated in a game, or when I am kind of mad at something, but not so mad that it gets to that level, I actually think it's funnier to make up your own curse words or to bleep stuff out. Sometimes I watch videos and I think bleeped words are actually have better comedic effect than if you actually said the word. So in my Kingston DIY in 5 videos, sometimes I'll have well-placed bleeps because I think they're funny. Same thing with the show that I currently do for Fandom, The Loop, the gaming version. Sometimes I'll have bleeps in for comedic effect because I think it's funny. And on my Twitch, I have really been enjoying trying to come up with, or not even trying, just naturally coming out with my own versions for swear words that are not swear words. They're silly words, but I mean them with the same intensity that one would mean a swear word. And that's mostly so, I think I've come into that, like I said, because Logan is of understanding age and I don't want him repeating that. And so, lead by example. If I don't want him saying it, I feel like then I shouldn't say it either. But that is no judgment on anyone else's parenting style. I think there are lots of different ways to approach this topic. So I guess my questions for you guys start with, on a scale of 1 to 10, kind of using the scale that I used where 1 is like barely cursing except for when it's an absolute necessity, and 10 is you kind of use curse words and like intense curse words regularly, like punctuation. Where do you think you fall in there? What is your current cursing level? I want to know. Thomas says Annie Wilkes really knew how to make up curse words. That's awesome. Shady X says they did that in Scott Pilgrim 2 with the modern sounds when Aubrey Plaza's character swore. And it's funny, right? Andy T2K says, we've noticed a lot of gosh darns from you, Shish. Yep. I'm about a 2, says Jedi Master. Okay. Whereas Daniel Casavant says, oh, I'm an 8/10 for sure. I'm an 8 out of 10 for sure. That James Wisdom says, every time my brother swears when we are on the phone to one another, I cringe because I know his kids are around. But everybody's different. Some people that works for. Jenny's a 1 to 2. I'm not surprised, Jenny. Rob K says 4.77 out of 10. That is very specific. Jeremy Coleman says 1 out of 10. Kerbo Custom says maybe 5, but it's very fluid. Curtis Jeremiah, thank you so much for the super chat, says, Trisha, my swearing is very bad when it's at a level 10. English football fans, boy, is she in for a surprise. Oh man, because you swear when you watch football? Is that what you're saying? Elaborate for me here. George Pruitt says, but what if you get killed in a video game? What happens? I feel like now when I get killed in a video game, it turns into like a... You guys can probably attest to that better than me because you watch me game. I don't watch me game, so a lot of times I don't even know what I'm doing. Jose Sanders Journey says, woot woot, Naked Army. I curse in my vlogs, but I'm trying to ease off of it. Okay. And no judgment. I mean, if you are the type of person who curses a lot, then that's part of who you are. Please don't feel like me saying that I don't curse a lot anymore is in any way passing a judgment on people who do curse at all. Eladria says, I think the intent behind the word matters more than the word itself. Saying humbug or some other word when you mean the F word doesn't change the feeling, just the sounds, but then I'm not a parent. I mean, you're not wrong, Eladria, and I think that's why making up a curse word still kind of like satisfies that urge. The RCV says, as an Aussie, our base level is lower. So you mean you like naturally curse more or you naturally curse less? I'm not sure. Yeah, Andy T2K says, I'm an 8 out of 10, but it's not that big of a deal on this side of the pond. Tyrannical Earthworm, I love your name, by the way, says between 5 and 10, depending which friends I'm around. Yes, I think that's 100% true for a lot of people. Pierre Kelly says, don't you watch Dry Bar Comedy? They don't curse a bit. Really? Or are you being ironic? It's hard to tell in YouTube chat. I don't know. I don't watch them, but I would. Aussies have a reputation too, says Took It Home to Jenny. Depends on who I'm with, says Miguel I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Neverette. Depends on who I'm with. I can keep things G or R rated. Totally. And that James Wisdom says different countries swear differently. That's super interesting. Yeah, I guess my friends that I know that are from across the pond who've moved to America probably swear more in general than other folks. Some people start off at a 4 from birth, says Andy T2K. So funny. And now we're talking about words that are curse words in other places and not here. I love it. Go for that, chat. Let's see. My next question for everybody. Do you find that you subconsciously or inherently, without thinking about it, judge people either positively or negatively who curse? And why do you think that is, if you do? Or if you don't, why do you think that is? Cyclops, thank you for the super chat. Says, I do curse, but less. I never use the F word. It sounds annoying to me. Okay. Well, and that's kind of, I think you probably got that super chat out before I asked that question. But that's kind of my thought is like, if you hear someone who curses a lot, do you immediately think, oh, that annoys me? It's funny because I used to watch like Angry Video Game Nerd all the time. And just like the string of curse words that came out when I was younger was so funny to me because I could relate to that gaming frustration. And I did the same thing when I was frustrated as a gamer. But like since I've tried to go back and watch some of those videos and they're not as funny to me anymore. Like I'm almost like, oh man, did I grow out of this? Am I old now? Is this just like, oh, I'm too old? Old people opinions that I'm like, oh, it's kind of annoying now. See, Daniel Casaban says AVGN rules. I know. I used to watch a lot of it. But now I'm just kind of like, Christian Polson says, I judge people who don't curse. Feel like they're being fake or pretentious. Okay, and that's a valid opinion too. Stephen Summers says, I only judge if it's racist or bigoted in general. There you go. And that goes back to it being the intent of it. Vito says, no judgment at all because I do the same thing. So it's not fair for me to judge others. Catnip Ninja says, cursing is just a form of expression. Unless a platform in place prohibits it, I don't care. Everyone communicates differently. Catnip Ninja, I love that take on it. And I think that's how I try to model my life, is, everyone communicates differently. And if that's your style, no harm, no foul, especially since I have been someone who cursed a lot at different phases in my life. And I have been someone who doesn't curse a lot at different phases in my life. But, yeah, I agree with you, Catnip Ninja. Craig Wilson says, I'm a 0 at work, but as soon as I'm gaming, I'm a 10. I get that. I've definitely been there right with you, for sure. I I trust people who curse more for some reason, says Ghost Dog. And that probably goes back to what CP Falcon was saying, that you might feel like people who don't curse are being fake or pretentious or somehow less trustworthy. Yeah, so it seems like you guys are a little bit in agreement there. Rob K says religious people who swear are the funniest thing to me. Speaking of religious people, I went to a Catholic grade school, and I remember getting in so much trouble with the priest who taught my algebra class in 8th grade because I said, "Oh, booger," thinking that I was not saying the SH word or something else. Like I was trying to make up a funny curse word in the moment because I knew I was in school. And he got so mad at me because he was Irish and he thought I was saying like the U sound differently. That means the F word there, I guess. But I was like getting in trouble anyway, and I didn't know that that was a thing in another country. I was like, I said booger, like the stuff that's in your nose. Oh, boogers. And he was like, you shouldn't say that. You just definitely shouldn't say that. But that made me think of it because he's a religious person who got like very crazy that I had said that in algebra class. Rob K says, what is your favorite curse word? Oh man, now I have like favorite funny curse words. Oh, veto. See, I didn't even know that. I thought it was the F word. I didn't know. It's a very British word, says James Wisdom. I didn't know. I was in 8th grade and I was talking about boogers that live up your nose. But Andy T2K says that's the lowest level of British swearing. It's technically it is a curse, but even my parents use that. Stephen Summers says, I thought it was the British version of crap. Wow, so many different takes on that one, even coming from chat. So see, that's how I obviously didn't know as a little kid. And then here's a question for everybody, and I think we're going to get a wide range of responses on this, but I almost ask this just to say, like we all have different opinions on this, and that's okay. So let's hear them. What do you think is the best way to approach bad words with children? Now, I know some of you have kids. Some of you who are watching definitely don't have kids or even interact with kids, but for anyone who has any input in this, what do you think is the best way to discuss bad words with kids? And then where is that line of what's a bad word and what's not? So, for example, I have a cousin, and him and his wife are very strict on the bad words thing with their kids, to the point where any words that would even be considered rude, not even necessarily cursing, are considered bad words in their house, and they're not allowed to say them. Like any mean words or rude words, you're not allowed to say that's a bad word. And Nate and I have discussed it, and we don't think by any means we want to go that far with Logan, because there's sometimes when a rude word could be necessary to use and you want to have that in your arsenal. And so we want him to know that that's a word he could use, even though it might be a mean word or a rude word and it might hurt people's feelings, and we can talk about that. But as far as like, do you say those are adult words and you can only use them when you're an adult? Other parent friends we know are like, if you hear it in a song and you're repeating the song, then that's okay, but it's not something I want you to use of your own accord. Hi, JS4Lio. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Or Murray Lokery says, my mom and dad didn't swear in front of me until I was a teenager. I mean, that's a way to do it, too. Beertastic Yogi says it's true. Sometimes bad words are essential for expressing yourself properly. Totally. John Walker says, in general, being mean is much worse than cursing, but they have to understand context because otherwise the mere use could be hurtful to others. Totally. Tyrannical Earthworm says, LOL, do as I say, not as I do. And I definitely know parents that are like that too, where they're like, well, I'm allowed to say it all the time because I'm an adult. You are not allowed to say it because I said so, or because it's not for kids. I'm putting on chapstick because my lips are chapped. Sorry, y'all. Let's see. Catnip Ninja says, I like the idea of teaching them that words are powerful, and to use them so easily will cause them to lose their meaning. Powerful words like those should be used sparingly and when appropriate. I agree with that. Sean Gentry says, we try to draw too much attention to the words. We don't want to make them taboo because then the kids will want to use them more. We just explain that the words are not nice things to say. And that's true too. Anyone who's dealt with kids at all, like Logan is just barely starting to get into the like farts and butts are funny phase. So if he says like but, and then gets a laugh out of us or gets some kind of rise out of us, like, hey, don't say that, then he'll keep doing it. So totally playing it off like it's not a big deal is A+ parent maneuver. KSJ Hawker 94 says, I'm about a 0.5 on your scale because my parents never swore and my grandparents were religious. And some people, yeah, don't swear at all for religious reasons. Shady X says, we have one in Danish not translated to English. It loosely could be translated to like for hell's sake or for F's sake. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, Shady X, but Shade put it in chat. Chris Green Moose says, I'm 42 and my mom and dad still don't swear in front of me. So funny. James Wisdom says, my parents never swore in front of me that I remember, but I had a friend who used to constantly swear at his parents when they were arguing. I feel like that happened because the parents used to swear. Yeah, maybe. It's, I don't know if you guys remember this. This is how old I am. But Nate and I always laugh of the like, what was it? Like, I learned it from you, Dad commercial. I think it was about cigarette smokes at the time. But anytime we do something that we don't want Logan to do, we'll joke around with each other later when he's not around. I learned it from you, Dad. And to try not to be those parents. JS4 Lio has an unrelated question, but I will answer. It says, before you had Logan, did you want to have children? I did, and I talked about it a lot on SourceFed that I kind of always wanted to be a mom. That was something I really wanted to do in life, even though I was super career driven and honestly just stubborn. Like when I was like, I'm going to go to LA and be a big movie star, because that's originally what I wanted to do. People were like, well, I guess you're not going to have a family then. And I was like, no, don't tell me what I can't do. I'm going to do all of it. I'll pop out a kid between each film. Obviously, this was spoken out of ignorance. I had no idea what I was saying, and had no idea how hard and how much work and dedication having a child is. But yeah, I did always want kids. In fact, when Nate and I started dating, I think I told him I wanted 6 kids. And he knew me well enough by that point to be like, okay. I'm not even going to bother fighting you on this. We'll just see how you feel after one. And he was right. Andy T2K says, thinking farts and butts are funny. Has Logan been hanging around Zaragoza? No, but I feel like they would have similar senses of humor, which is why I always think of Steven as my little brother and call him Steven. And Kerbo Custom says 6 kids, I would have ran away. And Beardtastic Yogi says, smart Nate. Yeah, smart Nate, indeed. He was just like, okay. But Nate always wanted kids too. And when Nate and I first started dating, that was something he actually brought up. He was like, hey, just so you know, ultimately in my life, I would love to have a family at some point. So if that's not something that like you would also be thinking you'd like in the future, we probably shouldn't date. Which was really nice because then we didn't, hit a point where we'd been dating for years and then realized we want different things and you have a lot of hurt feelings about it. So I appreciated his upfrontness. Cyclops TB, thank you for the super chat, says, tell your kids cursing is for adults only age 25 and up. And for kids, bad language makes for bad feelings. Oh, I like that. Bad language makes for bad feelings. That's lovely. Yeah, I like that a lot. JS4 Leo says, I don't curse much. I grew up in a strict family, so if I cursed in front of my parents, they would hit me. Oh no, I hope they actually didn't hit you. I'm sorry. Andy T2K, is that a quote from something? Andy T2K quoted, after you push one of these out of your body and have it scream every 3 a.m., let me know how many times you want to repeat it. LOL. Please tell me that's like a quote from a comedian or something, because I mean, it's very accurate. It is very accurate. I also just found that, regarding the parent thing, that I'm someone who really likes what I do for a living, and kids are a lot of work. And especially now that we're in quarantine without childcare support, I'm feeling that more than ever. And so thank you guys for this small discussion on cursing and bad language and different ways to approach it. Nate and I are still trying to figure out how we want to approach it with Logan, if it comes to that. Knock on wood, we have made it to 3 years and some change without a curse word coming out of his mouth, which is awesome. I attribute that mostly to the fact that spends most of his time with Nate and I really don't curse around him. Every now and then, one of us will be on the phone with someone else and say something, but it's not something he hears or sees a lot. So at least, fingers crossed, we've gotten this far. But, you know, as he gets older, it's only going to get tougher, especially as he hears it from other kids in school, etc. So we'll have to figure it out. Hearts back to you, Jenny. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I appreciate you. Yeah, thank you guys for being here. And thank you, CP and Jenny, for modding. You guys are awesome sauce. Steven says, wait till he figures out what poopy is. Oh, he knows what poopy is. We've been potty training. He is well aware. Poopy is the thing that you do before you get a whole chocolate chip cookie. That's what happens in our house. So he's well aware. He's a big fan of going poopy because then he gets the chocolate chip cookie. Yeah, love to the mods. Love to everybody who's here today. I appreciate you. Share something nice with a friend or family member today. I think a lot of us are at very high stress levels, and a lot of people are at each other's throats for things that shouldn't. But I don't want to place judgment and say things that shouldn't be an issue, but you know, some of us are just trying to live our lives, and other people right now have a lot to say about that. And it seems like no matter what you say right now, someone would want to start an argument about it. So I feel like that's because everybody's on edge. So I just want to put out there into the universe, try to be open-minded and open-hearted, and put yourself in other people's shoes. And I'm saying this to myself right now as well, because there's like one of my neighbors that had something to say about Logan and my friend, Logan and myself on a walk. And I have feelings about it that I need to let go. So I also need to be open-minded and open-hearted, and, you know, try to just remember everybody's on edge right now. It's a tough time. And hopefully we can find more ways that we are similar than different and enact some real change in this world. That would be lovely. Beartastic Yogi says, communicate and talk. Don't yell, fight, or project. Agreed. Jenny says 2020 is just a raw nerve, and the scars for this year are going to be stressful, or the scares for this year are going to be stressful. Yes, totally. 100%. So spread some kindness into this world if you can. Try to be someone who listens and has civil discourse, and yeah, just spread kindness. At least one person today. Call and reach out and just make someone smile today, because I think that can go a long way, especially right now. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and the next Naked Truth will be in 2 weeks. Other things that are going on, I'm going to start The Last of Us 2 playthrough tomorrow on Twitch. Wish me luck. We'll see how that goes. Probably around 10:30 a.m. because it's almost Father's Day. Oh my goodness, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Anyone who's watching this, happy Father's Day to you prematurely by one day. If you need something to do, if you're quarantining and can't be with your father, or if your father's no longer with us, or for whatever reason, if you're not celebrating Father's Day and want to take your time off of it, come to The Last of Us Part 2 stream tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. We can all team up and get through it together. And yeah, and I'm going to be celebrating Father's Day before my stream, and we have something special planned for after, which is going to be really cool. So happy Father's Day to Nate. One day early. One of his presents didn't come because shipping takes so long right now, but the other one did, so I'll be able to wrap it. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I may or may not see you for the Twitch stream tomorrow. And I have been posting the Final Fantasy VII Remake playthroughs on this channel. I've been posting once a week, but I might post them twice this week just to start to get through them a little bit faster, because I don't want like 4 months of us to go through Final Fantasy VII highlights. And I'm not sure that everyone's as interested in watching them now that I completed the playthrough on Twitch. So I'll probably throw them all out there for anyone who is only watching on YouTube, so that you have that as an option. Other things going on, Twitch Gong Show is on my Twitch channel every Tuesday. The Power Up podcast with Maud Garrett that I do every Friday airs on my Twitch channel, and then is on Geek Bomb's YouTube channel after that. And yeah, join the Discord, because that's kind of where we are all connecting in this time where we are all apart yet simultaneously together. Curtis Jeremiah, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, could we all just Control-Alt-Delete 2020? You know what? I'm trying to reframe my focus of mind to, as much as I feel that way, certainly, and I think a lot of us feel that way, that yes, it's hard, but that there could be some positive change to come out of a lot of this. So maybe all of us going through this immense stress and hardship will bring about something better and make us all stronger for it. So that's how I'm trying to reframe it. That could just be positive baloney coming out of my mouth, but that's kind of what I'm having to do from a mental health standpoint to keep going. GK says, weren't you going to avoid The Last of Us because there's already so much negativity to deal with and we don't need more sad and stressful things? Well, that was the discussion. That's why I was saying, I'm going to start streaming it tomorrow and we'll see how it goes. And if it is not a game that we should stream, then fine. Because although, yes, there is a lot of sad and negativity, I also believe that sometimes there is good to come out of going through those experiences. Sometimes watching movies that are very difficult to get through, you're like, I'm really glad I watched it, but I'm probably not going to watch it again. Like, I didn't enjoy watching it, but I'm glad that I did. And I have a lot of friends who got early copies of The Last of Us 2, and their reactions to it were kind of similar, where they said, it was a really hard game to get through, especially right now, but I'm really glad that I finished it because I think it was a very well done game that people should experience. So from that standpoint, it's kind of like if you remember when I streamed That Dragon Cancer, that was a really hard game to get through, and I don't know that I ever want to play through it again because it was a really gut-wrenching experience. However, I'm glad that I played it, and I'm glad that I experienced it because it was something really cool that I think video games as an art form hadn't really seen that application of a game before. And what I mean by that is it was written autobiographically from a father who lost his son to cancer, and instead of writing like a book memoir, they made a video game memoir. Because of the subject matter, it was obviously very hard to get through, but it was really well done, and like I said, I'm glad that I played it. So we will see how tomorrow's stream goes, and we'll see if we can actually get through it, or if maybe not. Took It Home to Jenny says, art can be a good emotional digestive aid, nasty to eat, but it helps process other feelings. That's a great analogy for it as well. So anyway, thank you all again so much for being here. That was a very, very long outro, but yeah, I appreciate you all being here and connecting. So have a great day, and be kind to others, okay? Bye, everyone. See you later.